Hello everybody, hope everyone's doing good out there. I'm doing good, just in case anybody out there is wondering. Thanks for asking. My name is Stephen Williams. Oh, you're far too kind. Thank you. My name is Stephen Williams, and I'll be your instructor for this very short video today. And today, I would like to go over literary devices. Yes, literary devices. This is a term that some of us may have heard before. And now, since there are so many of them, and yes, trust me, there is a lot. There's about over 100. Yes, 100 literary devices. And although I can talk about each and every one of them if I really wanted to, we honestly don't have that kind of time. And I know you honestly don't want to sit and watch me talk about that all day. So we honestly just won't do that. We'll just leave it to one specific one. But before we get into that, I got to tell you what literary devices mean, right? Well, literary devices are a technique a writer uses to produce a special effect in their writing. We know them. You've heard of them before. Some of the most common are similes, metaphors, imagery, foreshadowing, and illusion. And did I mention foreshadowing? And although they're all great in their own way, I can only really explain one. And I wonder which one that could be. Let's find out. So, any guesses of what I'm going to talk about? Which literary device I want to cover? Well, if you guess foreshadowing, then man, you are absolutely wrong. Nah, you're right. I'm just joking, you're right. But how'd you guess? Was it the subtle hints that I gave in the beginning of the video? Okay, you're right, okay. So they weren't so subtle. But by doing that, I actually just told you what foreshadowing does to a story and what it actually means. But to give a more clearer definition and a more concrete definition, let me tell you what it actually means. Foreshadowing is an indication of something that's going to occur later on in the story. And trust me, we have seen foreshadowing everywhere. We see it everywhere. We see it everywhere in books, movies, TV shows, and in some cases, one could argue we see them in certain sporting events too. But that's honestly up for debate, and we'll talk about that for another video. Within these things, though, foreshadowing is usually found in the beginning of the story, almost always. And although foreshadowing usually appears as dialogue, it doesn't always need to appear as dialogue. It can also appear as the setting, a character, even the title could be a form of foreshadowing. Foreshadowing first originated sometime in the 1570s in ancient Greece, most notably in the story Oedipus the King. Some of us may have read that story before. But you can even find foreshadowing in the Bible if you didn't even know that. I told you it was everywhere. Now, like I mentioned before, foreshadowing is found everywhere. Yes, everywhere. But I honestly can't tell you that it's found everywhere without giving you some examples of it, right? Well, we've seen foreshadowing in all of our favorite content. Yes, all of it. Things like Lion King, The Avengers, The Office, even The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, my favorite TV show. Yes, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is my favorite TV show, and there's a lot of elements of foreshadowing that can be found within it. In fact, as an example, in an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith is supposed to meet his father for the very first time. And those of us who've actually seen the TV show know his father actually walked out on him and his mother while he was a child and has never been in his life. But in this episode, Will's father is seen as being loving towards Will and is given the illusion, literary device, that he is a changed man. However, throughout the episode, he is giving constant signs or foreshadowing throughout the show that indicate that, honestly, he hasn't changed one bit. All of these signs eventually lead to what is known as Will Smith's greatest scene ever, which shows him breaking down crying because his father eventually walks out on him again. Like I mentioned before, all of these signs are seen throughout the episode, which indicates to the audience that this was eventually going to happen. Foreshadowing is usually used to set up some type of major drama to happen later on in the story, and honestly, foreshadowing helps bring energy to the story that it needs. So, as you can see, foreshadowing has been around us for, well, forever. It is in most things we watch, read, and even listen to. There are some elements of foreshadowing in the songs that we listen to. Can you believe that? I mean, honestly, without it, stories will simply be bland, there will be no excitement to them, and they will leave the viewer simply disinterested to continue. So it's safe to say foreshadowing is the most needed things in the stories that we read or listen to. At least I think so. Well, that's all the time I have, y'all. But I hope I was able to inform you as much as I can about foreshadowing, and I hope you're able to watch more videos that I instruct y'all about literary devices. And just to make sure that everyone was paying attention and everyone retained the information I was talking about, there's one more quiz before I go. I bet you didn't see that coming. Hope y'all have a good day. Peace.